So then,
so the 5 key areas are what do you call it? Rise and insist, and you have to express gratitude.
We'll get into more of the meaty
okay.
bits of it.
You
but
have to
for now, I just
prioritize
want
you,
to, yes,
and also indulge in selfless act and all of that. Okay, so let's go into the fine details, the finer details of these broad areas.
we will. We will. And as we go into it, why does it matter? Again, I was talking about the fact that Invictus, William Henley says something in Invictus, and he says that it doesn't matter how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my faith, the captain of my soul. So you need to take your life into your own hands. It's not about anybody, it's about you. The other thing, the reason why it also matters that you pay attention to these things is because our thoughts become our words. Okay. Our words become our actions become our habits become our character, and our character destiny. So if my thought is going to end up defining or determining the end result, my output, my outcome, then I must be more conscious of it, of what goes on here and how it filters through my words, my habits, my actions, and everything. So I must be more conscious of how that flows.
How do you plan that? How do you confine your thoughts to the right things?
Yeah,
I mean, people have challenges with that.
We'll get there and answer more questions in that regard.
Okay.
There's simple things that we teach this, and you can, I think I've even said some here before, but we'll get to it. So those are some of the things. And then the one thing that I learned from one of our little drops of water doesn't always turn into a mighty ocean.
I love that.
Sometimes they evaporate. And recently I've been spending some time with Dr. Letitia Bing, and she emphasizes that. So a lot of water evaporates and we don't even realize it, and it doesn't come back.
Okay.
So little drops of water doesn't always turn into a mighty ocean. So you need to make a choice and predetermine those outcomes. So again, rise and insist. What does rise and insist say? I wake up in the morning. I know that I want to be successful. It means that I cannot wake up and slither out of bed like most of us do to a normal, regular routine. How are you today? I'm fine. So the regular, the normal, the cliches. I wake up and I'm going to work and it's just routine. I even forget sometimes your route changes, but you go in the same direction and you're like, oops, how did I get here? So you're in a certain space where you've automated what you do every day. All we're saying is that take a moment and be conscious and know that today wasn't yesterday. Yesterday is gone. Okay. It's a new day. What must I do today? So, and then that means you take care of yourself first. Elle Nightingale tells a story where a man was at home reading his newspaper. His son was eagerly needing his attention. So he tore a puzzle, tore it up, gave it to the son to put it all together. In less than a few minutes, the boy had done it. And the man was like, he was curious because his whole thing was to deflect that attention. So how did you do it so fast? And he says, well, when you turned to the back, there's a man's face. Once I fixed the man, I could fix the world.
Wow.
So now, until you fix you cannot fix the world. So you matter first. So in that day when I'm fully awake, I need to optimize my mind. I need to tell myself that I'm grateful to be awake. I am excited about today, about the prospects today have. It doesn't matter. You know where you are, so find what you need to say. Okay. So today, this morning, because I was coming here, I woke up in the morning and I was excited to be here. I was excited for the new experience because it typically would be Bernard. So yesterday I mentioned to Bernard, okay, I'm looking forward to that new experience because I claim that I'm in a new dimension of grace. Exactly. I'm in a new dimension of this. If I'm in a new dimension, then I should experience it. So yes, I've never had an interview with Sky before. It is an opportunity for me to have an interview with Sky and then to experience Sky as well as he experienced me. So it is a new, so I already tuned my mind to it.
That's right. So it has to be about yourself. Fix yourself
first. You need to fix yourself
before
first.
You think of fixing something else and the world for that matter.
And that self doesn't have to do with just you. You have tasks to do and you have roles to play, like I said. So I need to fix myself. I visualized my route all the way to here and being seated here and waiting for you to finish. I visualized all of that. And I knew I'd come and sit here and have more time because I don't like to be late. It's one of the things I don't like. hate is too strong a word, but I don't like it. So I came to sit and I did my work.
So you have to fix yourself.
I had visualized all of that.
By visualizing how your day will go.
Yes.
And you rise and insist on what should be done.
Yes.
What you must do
This
yourself.
is all under rise and insist.
Okay.
So this is number one, and under rise and insist, that's what you do. So I'm not just rolling out of bed reluctantly. I'm rolling out of bed with purpose.
Okay. And you insist on that purpose.
Yes, I insist on that purpose. So before I get out of bed, I'm telling myself that today I have a gift that nobody else has that I have to give to the world. So I am up and going to give my gift.
Wow.
Now, whether you're better at it than me is another story. That is not in my capability. I can't control that. But what I can control is that right here, right now, I have the speaker.
I love that.
I've got to be able to do something. It is a gift that I have. I've practiced it, and I can give it to you. So I may not have the science to back it, but I do because I've studied it. But I haven't learned that science. Somebody may have it. And that person is not here now. I can't go and look for that somebody. But I'm here. You're here.
When
He's
they put
here.
you in charge,
Yeah,
I've
you
learned
need
you
to take charge. So that's basically all it is, that you're in charge of your life. Take charge of it. Don't let other people use the remote control to push you around.
The second item.
So the second item basically says, be grateful. That took me a while to get. I've been practicing that for a while, but it took me a while to be consistent with it. But simple things. I don't need to be grateful for something big, and we make that mistake quite a bit. Because I want that 10,000 CDs, I'm not grateful for the 10 CDs that I have. But until I'm grateful for that 10 CDs I have, and I know that I must use that 10 CDs to get me closer to that 10,000, I'm not going to make that 10,000.
No, bohobium. Because some people are not grateful for the little effort you make.
Yeah, you have to be
They
grateful.
want 10,000 and they expect that you give them 10,000.
No.
If you do 10 cities, this is chicken feed. Please take your money away.
Yes, it is chicken feed for you in that moment, but that's all I have. But in that moment, I can use that 10 CDs to make that 10,000. So I may not get that 10,000 today, but I may get it in a week or in a month.
Okay.
But I know that because of this 10 CDs, I'm likely not to go hungry today. And I may be able to take a car from where I am to where I need to go to get me closer to that 10,000 CDs. So we need to be grateful for the little things. You need to be grateful if you're married for that spouse who's lying next to you, you're angry with. At least they're there.
They are there.
They're there and they feel a certain need. Otherwise, they won't be there and you won't be there. So there's a certain need that that person is feeling that you must be grateful for. Okay. For those who don't have that and who want it, be grateful for the fact that perhaps you can buy a certain shoe that I cannot buy because I'm going to buy some Cambridge books that you don't buy. Do you see? We need to learn to be grateful for what we have, because when we do that, you unlock the doors of abundance.
But how do you create a culture of gratefulness? Is this something that is taught? How do you become grateful to people for things they have done to you? Because some people simply can't say thank you. Even if maybe they need water, you drop water, or you go to a service station, you want to buy something. The person there, it is his or her job to sell water to you. But there's something about Western culture that says, even after buying that, you paid for it, and then you say thank you to the person.
Because the person was there to offer the service. That person made your life simpler. So just say thank you. It doesn't matter their attitude. Their attitude is their business. And that, for me, like I told you, I get irritated with some things. Time wastage, mediocrity, just people just being wasteful. But I just realized that you're where you are when you're supposed to be, and I'm grateful for it.
Okay.
Like, I had to say these things to myself. So sometimes I go and I smile, because I just tell myself that that's where they are today, and it's okay. They may not be there tomorrow. So what can I do? But my energy can change them. So what can I do to make sure that they realize, oh, I didn't have to be that rude after all.
Okay.
So, and my daughter, we've done it so much that my daughter said, Mommy, did you really have to? And when I get it wrong, she will. And I take that correction.
Okay.
So you need to make yourself vulnerable enough to take correction from a 9-year-old who would look at me and say, Mommy, did you really have to? because I was angry with somebody who was being too slow. And like, did you really have to? Mm-hmm. I'm thankful for her.
Okay.
Even in her rebuke of her mom.
Okay.
Because it's not about her. She's teaching me not to, or to be my very best wherever I am. Because in the end, it's my reputation that counts.
She has high expectations.
Yeah, and then it's my reputation that counts as well. So why am I going to stand there and then just talk by heart to anybody and walk away and think that it is okay? It is not okay. There's a law of oneness that says that what I think, the energy I give, is basically what you get. And we're all the same. We're the same tree, if you will, with different branches or different fruits or different parts of the tree. So we're the same. So what I give out, I am going to get.
Okay.
So I need to be more mindful of that. But the more you're grateful, the more content you are, and the more happy you are for even people who have things you want and you don't have.
Okay, so let me push this one quickly before you move to the third item. You know the person can give you, say, 10,000 Ghana cedis. You know he has it. Maybe it's your husband. You need money to do something. You know he has it, or you feel he has it, or you suspect he has it, and he gives you something less than what you expected ordinarily. Must you necessarily be?
Did you ask for 10,000?
Yeah.
So if you asked for 10,000 and he has it, he probably has other plans for that money. Has it been discussed? You see, we make a lot of assumptions. I don't work with assumptions. I like to validate my assumptions. So why did he give me that money? Why didn't he give me what I asked for? There has to be a reason for it. We make meaning. So when you're grateful, what happens is that it helps you to assign the right reasons or meanings to things that happens to you, like this. So you can say that, oh, perhaps he needed that money for something else, which will invariably support all of us as a household. And you can go and ask. But it changes your countenance, so you don't go fighting.
Okay.
Now you go and you reason.
Okay.
Because you're working from a different place, a better place, a beautiful state, if you will. So I'm no longer fighting. I just want to understand. And if I have a reason that works, and I also need to be able to explain why I really needed that 10,000. And if it makes sense, then we have to come to some agreement, and it's okay. So we need to learn these things. It doesn't just come because we're too busy walking around and doing things and letting things happen or making things happen. And we forget that we're all human and that we are all work in progress, and that the meanings that I'm thinking is not the same, is not that intention of the other person. So the person meant right, it just didn't come out as it was supposed to.
97.3 City FM is the station. This is Effective Living Series Day 4. And this morning we have Letitia Ohene Efa in the studio, teaching us how to position ourselves to be successful every single day in the year 2019. And she's broken down her, presentation into 5 different components. So far, we've dealt with how to, talking about arising or rising and insisting on what you want to do to succeed in a day or in the year 2019. And then she's also dealt with the component that talks about expressing gratitude for people who do something for you, and also expressing gratitude to the Lord God, if you like, for at least having life to achieve something. We're going to the other components that she's discussed much earlier. So let's go into the details of prioritizing you, the person who is seeking to succeed. How do you prioritize you without being seen to be selfish? Because, selfishness is a big deal.
It is a big deal. And I think that it's easy to prioritize you. When you wake up in the morning, try not to go to your phone the first thing you do. Let not your phone be the first thing you touch. Wow. Go through the process. Allow yourself, 5 minutes is all it takes to prime yourself for the day. So when you take your phone, people would usually send WhatsApp messages and then forwarded messages. I really don't know what happens. Mm-hmm. People wake up and they start, I don't even think they read it, and then they start sharing. Mm-hmm. And for the life of me, I'm thinking, have you read it? What have you done with that information? Have you even validated it? Why are you sharing it? All you have is 24 hours, irrespective of the time zone that you live in. So every minute counts. That doesn't mean that you cannot be selfless. I work with people, so when they need something from me, I must make time for it. So I make sure I schedule it. So I work with a 24-hour calendar. So on my day, I have spaces for that kind of distraction. There's good distraction and there's bad distraction. I make myself available for the good distraction. And sometimes, like, we are going to get to do something for somebody. Somebody may call you in the middle of the night or morning. It's an emergency. And it is okay. But you have the choice to go and rescue the person. And it's okay. But you've made that conscious choice. And when you go, you give them, you're coming from a place of empathy. So you're able to support more than go create judgments.
So ideally, when you wake up in the morning, your position is that you should not touch your phone. You should program yourself first for the task to be achieved in a particular day before you move on to deal with the distractions.
The emails, because once you start touching your emails and your phones, unless, of course, your data is off. I use my phone a lot for work. So I make sure that before I go to sleep, my data is off most of the time, unless I'm in a space where, okay, maybe Michael has traveled or there's somebody that I'm being open to receive from and see if I can support. So if I'm supporting somebody who I think that will send me a message and I probably would want to respond to, then I'll leave it on. But otherwise, consciously, once we're all at home, my data goes off.
But what if the submission is made that looking at your phone will help you plan what you do for that day and insist on...
That's why I said I use my phone a lot for work. But when I came to City, I started reviewing my to-do list. But my data is off. So when my data is off, then I know that I am not focused on the distractions. I will come back to you because you are important to me. Once you're sending me information, you're important, and whatever it is you want is important. But I also know that if it is an emergency, you give me a call.
Okay.
And insist. You won't just send me a message. So I need to be in that space as well. I must be able to manage that 24 hours. Because once you pick up your phone, especially from the Androids with the light, once I see the light, I just feel that, okay, I have to touch it. Okay. And I think most of us, statistically, we pick our phones like every 11 seconds. It takes us about 21 minutes to fully immerse ourselves in work. Okay. So if it's taking you 21 minutes to fully immerse yourself in a task, and every 11 seconds you're going to pick your phone, then you're not going to be productive.
Okay, so you have to make sure that first thing you do is to program yourself, and then when you rise, you insist on that which you have planned for the day. And the teacher is talking about the need to prioritize yourself.
So I prioritize myself. So by the time I'm open for business, I'm coming from a place where I'm showing I can serve you from my overflow because I'm already full.
Okay, let's deal with that in a jiffy. Let's say that you have enough to feed yourself and your household, yet someone comes in with a compelling problem, which you must on as to how much you commit to deal with a person's problem. Within the construct of what you call prioritizing yourself, how do you distribute the limited resources you do have in order to even reach out to someone who has a challenge you cannot afford to save?
Remember, the fifth one is to be able to indulge in a selfless act.
Okay.
So you're indulging in a selfless act, but if you want 1,000 cedis, and I know I cannot give you 1,000 cedis, what I will do is perhaps give you 100 cedis to say, go and find your 1,000 cedis. So I've given you your seed, if you will, to go find that 1,000 cedis because I may not be able to, I'm not in the position to give you that 1,000 cedis. Okay. So these are some of the things that you do. So I won't leave you empty, but I would say I cannot afford this because I know my budget. I know what I'm working with. And oftentimes the emergencies are not emergencies that you probably have. Your need is probably more of an emergency than theirs. Okay. It's just how they come to you, and then we buy into it, and we're seduced into that space to give. Okay. You'll see them again tomorrow. Okay. I remember there was a story about someone who, one of the traffic lights, a beggar, and one of our prominent men in the society saw them and said, how much money do you need to get off the street? Gave them times 2 or 3. The following day, that man was on the street. Same place. So sometimes we buy into people's seductions. We're seduced into, there's nothing mobile about them.
Okay.
And then you should also be able to understand is there a certain precedent, a pattern from this person? Do they always want to come? Have you been able, so I may be able to try and give you, put you in school. I can support you with instead of always giving you some money. Now, can you get a skill? Can you get something? You've done that. When you're done, go and get a job. Start working. But don't expect me to keep feeding you.
Okay.
Because I have done an aspect of it.
Okay.
I have supported you thus far. So you don't just ignore it. That's why you have to do the selfless act.
Okay.
It is part, you build it into your daily act.
So love your neighbor as thyself, but do not love your neighbor more than yourself.
Yeah.
That's the rule. Okay.
And if you don't prime yourself, you're going to do that.
05499869996 is the text line. Send us your comments. We'll be reading them, and your questions if you have any. 05499869996. The hashtag is CityCBS. We are on Effective Living Series Day 4, and Letitia Ohini Efa is with us this morning, helping us to understand how we can position ourselves to succeed in the year 2019. Every single day it matters. And if you are sending in your tweets at CityCBS, and you can do that via Twitter using the handle at City973 or at Richard Delasky. So let's go into the fourth.
The fourth one is to focus on units of work.
Okay.
So, for example, I talked about a 24-hour calendar. Now, there's certain areas, like the non-negotiables, that are blocked. So, either my devotion, my walk, my time with family, that they're just basically blocked. And that's my me time, or what I call in his presence, or whatever you want to call it. But for me, it is my me time. So I wake up in the morning, I go through a certain routine. I'm usually dehydrated, so I'll drink a lot of water. I love my coffee. I'm used to it, so I'll still drink it. And I enjoy the new research that comes and says it's good. And
some say it's bad.
Yeah. So it used to be that it was so bad, and then they started coming up with research. So each time I see it, I'm like, Michael, look, coffee is good. It's just because I like it. But the good news is I reduce my number of cups a day. So, but I drink a lot of water. I try very hard to read. I learn a lot.
Okay.
So every day I schedule some time for learning, be it reading, listening to a book, on an audiobook, or reading. So I do that. I schedule those. So it's blocked. I like to spend at the very least 1 hour with my kids after school. So I do my very best to block those hours off.
Okay.
So usually, if you want me to do something for you around 5 o'clock, I would drag my feet because it's their time. It's space. So it must be something that it's a selfless act. I have to decide that I'm doing that as a selfless act, and they must agree to it for me to be able to do it.
So you ring fence specific time blocks within a 24-hour period.
For different tasks.
Okay. But
tasks.
how rigid must a plan like that be? And
I like to be consistent yet flexible.
Okay.
So if, for example, I got a call to do, like somebody needs something, so I need to go sort them out, it's outside of my schedule, but I find that it's important, I must go do it, I will go do it.
Okay.
It just means that in between my day, especially because I have scheduled blocks of free time or times where I feel that I can put my distractive hours in, then I would use some of that time to fill the space.
Okay.
If I can. Otherwise, then it means it just has to go to tomorrow. But your schedule shouldn't be so flexible that you just make it flexible. Then don't have one.
Okay.
So as much as possible, I try to give myself deadlines so I can work within certain deadlines. We run a lot of programs in the office, and they run concurrently. So if I don't have that kind of schedule, then I'm in trouble because I have people that I must take care of, and I have work to take care of.
Okay. Now, forging the schedule is one thing.
Let me see if mine is here.
Making it work is another. Give us a practical, idea of how you forge the schedule and how you make it work. Given how we live in this country, I mean, you want to get to a place, perhaps at 2 p.m. The traffic situation does not allow you to get there to do that business. You want to go somewhere at 7 a.m. The traffic situation the previous day did not allow you to get to work, so to get home early enough, wake up early enough to attend to that business at 7 a.m. because again you had to go through traffic. Within our system, is it easy to put that together, and how do you live by it?
It's easy. I've done that. I used to work in Accra.
Okay.
Down the road or close to Makola. and my house is in Adenta.
Wow.
And I used to do that trip.
So.
Yeah. So this morning I was so excited when I was driving because there are a few cars.
It's a holiday.
Yeah, it's a holiday, but because it's a new holiday, I was hoping that people would still go to work. So I still left a little early just to give myself the room to get here. And like I said, so I have a little, either you have a book. So we have what we call, what does Michael call it? Buffer time.
Okay.
So what we do with the buffer time is that I have my laptop with me everywhere. So it's small enough. I invested in a small laptop, so it fits in my handbag.
Okay.
So I take it everywhere I go. Just about everywhere, except church. I take it just about everywhere. And then while I'm waiting, I do some work. So if I have to be in Tema at 9, I'm very likely to leave my house at 6:30 because I would rather not stay in that traffic.
Okay.
I would rather go and park and work.
Avoid the traffic.
Yes, and go and work. So because the traffic is unproductive time. Unless I decide to stay in the traffic and listen to an audiobook.
Okay.
Then that makes it productive. Or listen to music. It's fun, but for me, it's also relaxing. But at least I have decided to do that. So I don't just stay in the traffic for staying sake. So you need to understand and learn, be aware of your environment and make sure that you can use your environment to your advantage, not the other way. We usually allow our environment to cripple us. I did that thing for 5.5 years.
Okay.
And my children were much younger. So you can do it. It's just intentional. And it makes you very unpopular. But you need to decide if you want to be popular or get your work done and get stuff done.
And you see, that brings me to the question of the discipline to do that. It is one thing putting on paper or on your laptop a fine plan as to how you intend to live your day and the things you intend to achieve. But where do you find the energy to be disciplined to achieve the task you have so set?
That's what I do in the mornings. I tell myself that I'm excited about today. I'm falling in love today. I have something that only I have to give. And the other thing too, so I prep myself.
Okay.
I give myself that energy because energy is very important. So I get out of my roll. I don't just roll out of bed. I pump myself out of bed. So I get up on the floor and I'm ready to go, literally. So I do that. And then also for the people you work with. When I was in one company, it was big. We were always in meetings and people who liked me very much, my friends, would be angry with me because they keep saying, Letitia, I'm standing here talking to you. Before I know it, you've done your work. As we're having the meetings, I'm already communicating with the people who can help me do the work, so my team. So I'm always engaging my team. Before I'm done with a meeting, basically my brief for whoever is done. So I go and it doesn't take me long for my work to be done. So you need to create these environments for yourself. They won't come by magic. It's not magical. You create it. And then the more you create it, the discipline, the more, again, unpopular you become. So I won't go and sit at lunch for 30 minutes. I would sit at lunch for about 15, 20 minutes, and I would choose who I sit at lunch with because maybe I miss that person. I haven't seen that person in a while. I want to connect. So I will have that lunch. It may be in an office environment, but I would choose to go sit by the person and have lunch with the person. So I'm still I build it into my lifestyle. And that's what we must do.
And that's where you can see that some of these things will make you unpopular.
It will.
Because people want to while away their time with
Yeah.
you, even when you have not planned to be with them.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm not going to buy into that. I won't be seduced into your space. So then I become annoying, but it's okay. For me, it is okay to be annoying. Is it okay to be annoying? For you to be annoying, or would you rather be popular? It's a decision you have to make. And I won't judge you by it. It's your decision, and that's okay.
Wow.
And then the other thing, too, is that because I have a team, we all work with a schedule. I remember we do goal setting a lot this year. We have one coming up. And then one of our staff who just joined, bless her heart, said she was struggling with setting goals because she feels that if it doesn't come to pass, then she would have disappointed herself and she would rather not. And we had to go through that process. So we all work with a calendar and we try to sync it as much as we can. It doesn't always happen, It doesn't. We have things where people call us for meetings that we haven't scheduled, and we need to make room for it. So that's where the flexibility comes in, because we work in a human institution. You can't be too rigid. Okay. So, but you need to have the discipline to be consistent with it. And your first few hours, especially your first 2 hours of the day, is so important, and you can get so much done because there's very little distraction. Once you pick up your phone and you start looking at text messages, at WhatsApp messages, you've been distracted. That too, you can spend the whole 2 hours on your phone, just like that.
You touched briefly on the very last component of your presentation this morning, and that has to do with be selfless and do something for somebody. You want to expand on that a little bit for us?
Mentor someone. If you've been able to master a skill, an area that you feel somebody needs. There are a lot of mentoring programs that are looking for mentors. You have something to give right here, right now. You don't have to wait to be perfect. So you can give what you have now. Define what it is and be able to give somebody something. So mentor someone. If it's a hungry person, help feed them, whatever it is. But if it's somebody who just needs a listening ear, listen to them. Because I'm on Farm Life, people call me sometimes, and they don't even ask, can you talk? They just start rambling. I figure out, is it somebody who's in their need? Then I will listen to you, even though you have broken into my protocols. I will listen because I feel in that particular moment that it is an emergency, but I make the call.
Okay. So how do you choose who to listen to, who to mentor? Is it something you do consciously, or is something that just happens that you feel that this person needs mentoring, so you start mentoring the person, or you have to wait for that person to come and say, oh, Auntie Letitia, me paucho, I want to be a life coach, I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to achieve so much in education. How do you mentor me to achieve that? How do you do it?
Some people come like that. Some agencies would call you to say that I run this mentorship organization. Can you be one of the mentors? And I have a few that I'm on. Michael has a few that he's on as well. There's people.
And when she says Michael, she's referring to.
Yeah, sorry. So
the husband,
my husband.
Yes.
So we intentionally do that. Even our staff, they're supposed to have mentors.
Okay.
Now, mentorship is not something, we have a different definition of mentorship. Okay. So there's something I may like about Sky. It's maybe your thinking pattern, the way you rationalize things, and I want to learn it. I can tune into your programs and learn that.
Okay, without even letting
you know. I can tune into your programs and learn that. So there's something. So I'm like, okay, I need to learn this about what I'm doing. I think I like this. What are the gaps? If you're evaluating yourself, often you'll know. So what's the gap? Who can help me fill that gap? And you don't even have to go to the person. Okay. Then, so you can have multiple mentors at a time. But for you, then you're deciding that I should be able to live a lifestyle that somebody would want to learn something from. Okay. So what is that lifestyle, and what is it that they want? So if you come to me for mentorship, I can be very, what exactly do you want from me? Because I want to know. Okay. And then if I can support you with it, fantastic. If I cannot, that's fine. I can lead you to somebody else who can. And that's another thing. You need to make sure that you don't feel you're the repository of all knowledge. I'm not.
Okay. On your ladder, it would appear that being selfless is somewhere down there. Is that to mean that you have to finish achieving all the successes you can record as a person before you come to the point where you have to be selfless towards somebody?
Or you can do that.
No.
Even as we were talking, it's come through, like it's basically been through all 5 points. As since we were talking, it's not. It hasn't just been one. So even though it's the 5th point, it runs through every single thing, everything. Okay. So even for you to sit, one of the things I find is that when you need to listen to yourself. So one of my daily rituals is to have quiet time, like where I just listen to what I call the whispers of the universe. And I'm quiet, even for a minute. It's okay, but you will feel drawn to somebody to help.
Okay.
Oftentimes, I would think about somebody, and sometimes there's specific things about that person that I think about. If I just stay still enough to listen.
Okay.
and I don't rationalize it, because sometimes we all do. Like, I don't have time, so why must I go spend 1 hour with this person? But you make the time and you go do it. So be quiet. I think we should learn that rise and insist is a very important part of the whole equation. If you can do that, the rest just fall into place.
Okay, so where in all of these do you have goal setting? Because I want to believe that when you are up from bed, you have risen. What do you insist on? You have told us what you insist on, but how can you insist in a vacuum? Is there any place for goal setting in there to decide?
So we set goals,
okay,
and we teach it. The next one is coming up on the 26th of January, and I'd encourage people to sign up for it. We teach these things, and it's a practice. And this time we have a surprise. We have a challenge to make sure that people automate the behavior, the habit.
Okay, what do you say we? Who are you?
As in Leader Freak International. Okay. So people can call Leader Freak. I think you can call Naomi, who has the office phone, on 0574 368092. For further questions, go on our website. We have some material there, or you can reach us through that medium. So you set your goal. I'm sitting here and I have a first sense degree of certainty what I want to achieve or what I want to be in 20 years. But I also know that I cannot achieve all of those things today. But I must take a critical step toward that 20 years today.
That small step must
be. So there's a quote that says, those who spend more time training bleed less in war.
Wow.
So if you spend time to plan, to prepare yourself, to prime yourself, when it comes to executing, you bleed less.
That's powerful.
It is. The first time I heard it, I was like, oh, wow, this is so powerful. I have an imaginary mind, so I could see the blood. I'm like, okay, gory. But it's just so powerful. So spend time preparing so that you know where you're heading, where you're going to. You're able to ward off distractions. You're still able to love people, yourself and people more and better. But people don't realize that because they think that, okay, now you're being too selfish. No, I'm not being too selfish. I'm making sure that my cup is overflowing. So when I serve you from my overflow, you're happy and content.
Letitia Ohene Efa from Farm Life here with us this morning, teaching us a few things about how to succeed every day. Set that goal. Rise up and insist on what you must achieve during the day. Ultimately, you must be selfless. But before then, you must express gratitude. And you must break your day into units of work. And you must also prioritize your good self. Some of your comments that have come in, let me take a few of them before we run out of the studio. Please ask Letitia how an average salary earner can take part in a small private business and succeed to help boost his financial status without running into bankruptcy and also losing one's job or both careers. This is coming in from Peter in Asesewa, and this one is coming in from Adam, who says that, good morning, how do I deal with a sister who has refused to do productive work, so she keeps depending on you for her needs?
Cut her off.
Cut her off?
Yeah.
In this our Ghana?
Yes.
You will never know peace from the family.
You have to. You have to. See, that's the bit about the insist. So what did I say? You're helping that person to achieve something. So you help the person. You invest into the person. Once you've invested, your work is done. Now go make some money for yourself. And the more we do that, because I find that is one of the things, especially when we have training, that draws people back in this country quite a bit. Because we're always giving. And once you start earning small money, then everybody, so cousins and things you don't know, all of a sudden are calling you because they need some money. But they're wasting it. So I can help you. So the whole idea is that teach me to fish, don't always give me fish. So teach them to fish. But when you're done, I'm done with you.
Wow.
Yeah, but I have done my part. See, that's the thing. We need to know, we need to have boundaries. Begin where you begin and where you end. You cannot do this for the rest of your life. At some point, you build the bridges.
But are there people you cannot say no to?
Yeah. You have to learn to say no to people. Anybody, everybody.
Everybody, including your mom and your dad.
Yes.
Oh, my word. You don't know business of families, though.
Oh, you have to. See, the more you do it, and then, so the people who start businesses and then don't support any family, because you need to put, when you start a business, it's tough in our environment, as somebody was saying. And you need to put the money back into your business as much as possible, ply it back. Now, if you're going to be distributing, be Father Christmas, your business will collapse.
Okay, so if I ask you to summarize everything you've said into a single sentence for success for that person listening to you this very minute for the year 2016, every single day, what would you say?
Basically, know that you can achieve more in a week than you can achieve in a day. And still live your day to the very fullest. Be your truest, highest self every single day, knowing that you're working towards a higher achievement in a week, in a month, in a quarter, in a year. And then be gentle with yourself. That's where the flexibility comes in. Don't be too tough.